Take some time to really sit with this idea. Leaving teaching isn't just switching jobs. It's not like going from accounting to marketing or from sales to operations. For educators, the decision to leave often feels like walking away from an identity, a mission, and a version of yourself you've built over years. Let that sink in for a minute. Think about it. Most of us didn't choose teaching for the perks or the paycheck. We chose it, or maybe it chose us, because it was aligned with something deep inside, a desire to serve, to make a difference, to create change, to show up for others in meaningful ways. From college, we trained for this. We did practicum hours, unpaid student teaching. We stayed late decorating our classrooms and even spent summers planning. We crafted lessons, coached clubs, ran IEP meetings, and often put students ahead of ourselves. So when someone says, "Why don't you just get another job?" they just really don't get it, because this wasn't just a job. I want to pause right here and ask, if you're watching live or on the replay, comment below. How many years did you teach? And what made you choose it in the first place? Because chances are your why was powerful and it still lives within you, even if you're no longer in the classroom. What makes this emotional shift even harder than it is? For many of us, our whole world was built around being a teacher, our identity, our daily routines, our social circles, even the way we introduce ourselves at parties or to relatives. I'm a teacher. People knew us by that title. We knew ourselves by that title. So when that goes away, it doesn't just leave a gap on our resume, it leaves a gap in our sense of self. And I'll be really honest here. I remember the first time someone asked me, "So what do you do now?" I froze. I stumbled. I said something awkward, like I used to be a teacher and now I'm figuring things out. And that moment stuck with me because I realized it wasn't just about finding a new job. It was about finding a new way to define myself, to see my value outside of those classroom walls. So if you're in that weird, foggy space where you feel like you're not sure who you are anymore, or you didn't know how to explain yourself to others, you might even miss the structure, the recognition, or the sense of purpose. That is all completely valid. And I want you to know that this isn't a sign of weakness or regret. It's a sign that you've poured your whole heart into teaching, and now you're bravely letting go of something that matters. That's grief. That's growth. That's also called transformation. And you're allowed to honor it. Honor it all. You're allowed to say teaching shaped me, but it doesn't have to define me forever. You're allowed to shift. You're allowed to evolve. And you're allowed to ask, who do I want to become next? And if no one has told you this yet today, let me be the one to say, you are more than your job title. You are still a leader, still powerful, still worthy of purpose, even without a classroom. Hi, friends. If you're new here, I'm LaShawn China Williams, a former educator turned entrepreneur. And I now help teachers who are thinking about leaving the classroom or who've already stepped out into the world of entrepreneurship. Let's think about what identity loss really feels like. So let's go a little deeper. We've talked about how leaving the classroom isn't just about leaving a job, it's about letting go of a version of yourself. Now, let's talk about what it actually feels like day to day, moment to moment, because identity loss isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, it's subtle, it shows up in those in between moments. Let me give you a few examples, and let me know in the comments if any of this sits in your spirit. It might look like feeling awkward when someone asks, "So, what is it that you do now?" It could be that you're looking at your old teacher planner and start feeling a weird mix of sadness or sadness and relief at the same time. It could also be that you're hearing a school bell somewhere and feeling your body physically responding like you're supposed to be somewhere. It might sound like I don't even know how to explain what I'm doing now. I worked so hard to be good at teaching. What if I'm not good at anything else? Or it could even be I miss being needed. I miss being known. Drop an emoji in the chat if you've ever had one of these moments. And if you're feeling brave, please feel free to share more about your experience because these feelings are common, much more common than we think. And here's the hard truth that we don't talk about enough. When we lose our identity as a teacher, we can start to question our value because in teaching, our value was tied to student outcomes, admin evaluations, praise from parents, classroom culture, test scores, even hallway greetings and birthday cupcakes. We were constantly seen, constantly needed. So when you step away and those inputs disappear, there can be a quiet fear that creeps in. Am I still valuable if no one is watching? That's a real question. And it's one that keeps a lot of teachers stuck, even afraid to leave or afraid to grow after they do. Another layer to this is the double life feeling. You leave the class, but in your heart, still feel like a teacher. You still think like one, talk like one, walk like one. You still even organize your day like one. You use phrases like bell to bell and data driven, but you don't belong in that world anymore. And you don't feel fully grounded in your new one yet either. So when you're in this in between identity zone, let me tell you, that zone is uncomfortable. It can feel lonely. You might even not relate to your teacher friends anymore, but you also might not feel official enough to hang with business owners or people in your new space. That limbo, it's only a season. It's not permanent, but it is real. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever felt that in between identity fog? What does that space look like for you? What did it feel like? I'm interested to know. Let's not forget the emotional weight. We've got to talk about that, right? The feeling of being misunderstood or judged. You might think people are going to say, I gave up. My teacher friends might not get it. What if I try something new and fail and prove everybody right? Well, that fear of failure is attached to your identity. It's one of the hardest things to shake because teaching is safe in some ways. It has structure, it has clarity, it has steps. Entrepreneurship, hmm, well, that's uncharted territory for many. It's undefined, it's full of possibility, but it's also full of uncertainty. So when you don't feel like a teacher anymore and you don't feel like a real entrepreneur yet, your brain panics a little, and that's okay. I want to say this loud and clear. You are not broken. You are in transition. For those of you in the back that may not have heard me, here it goes again. You are not broken. You are in transition. You are not lost. You are becoming. This identity shift isn't a crisis, it's a crossroads, and you don't have to figure it out overnight. In the next part, we're going to talk about how to reframe this identity loss. So you don't have to feel like you've lost yourself, but instead realize that you're simply stepping into your next level of evolution. But before we move on, let me ask, what are you learning about yourself in this season of change? Drop it in the chat or DM me if you feel like you want to do it that way. I'd love to hear where you are at this stage in your journey. As promised, we're moving on to reframing the loss. Okay, so we've talked about how leaving teaching can feel like losing a big part of yourself. We sat in the discomfort, we've named it, and we've given ourselves permission to grieve. Now it's time to flip that script just a little bit. Because what if this is not the end of your identity, but the beginning of something new? Let's shift from who am I without teaching to a more empowering question of who am I because I taught? Take that in for a second. Let it settle. Because the truth is, you are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience. You are starting from impact, from resilience, from expertise. Teaching was a chapter, not the whole book. Let's reframe that career as a teacher as a powerful chapter in a much bigger story. Think of it like this: you didn't need to leave teaching because you failed, you left because you grew, because you were ready to expand, because your gifts are bigger than one role or one title. That doesn't erase what teaching meant to you, it builds on it. You are still someone who nurtures, leads, inspires, creates, solves, and adapts. Those traits didn't stay behind in the classroom. You carry them with you. And your skills didn't disappear, they're just being redeployed. All right, so let's talk about these skills for a minute. The classroom trains you in ways that you might not even fully recognize yet. The first way is planning and organization. How many of you can say you plan lessons? That's a joke. I know we all plan way too many lessons, right? So, lesson planning, pacing guides, unit development, all of those things fall under planning and organization. You've done all of that, and I'm sure you've done it well. Next is all about communication. You've presented, you've simplified complex topics, you have spoken with clarity in your classrooms. Emotional intelligence. You've learned how to read a room. You've learned how to de escalate conflict. You've also built very important relationships. Time management. This is another biggie. You've learned how to juggle 30 plus kids in a classroom. In all likelihood, you may have even juggled multiple subject or content areas. You've juggled meeting after meeting and lunch duties. And lastly, you have taught with zero budget and you still made it meaningful, oftentimes teaching with few resources. These aren't just teacher skills, they're actually pretty powerful entrepreneurial superpowers. So when you're building your new identity, don't say things like, I don't know how to do anything else. Don't say that. Instead, say, I know how to do a lot. Now I get to decide where I'm going to take those skills next. Choose a new title, even if it feels awkward. Now, this part can feel weird at first, but it is powerful. Start trying on a new identity, not necessarily one of those fake it till you make it identities, but reframe it into a let's see how this fits kind of way. If you're starting a business, what would you want to be called? Would you want to be called the founder, a coach, consultant, a strategist? Are you the creative professional? Are you a storyteller? Or are you simply going to be the CEO of your life and your new business? Try it out, say it loud. Put it in your bio and begin introducing yourself to people in this new way in a safe space. Because identity, remember, it's not something we were handed, it's something that we create. Now, reminder, you are allowed to grieve, but you also have to grow. Reframing doesn't mean pretending you don't miss teaching. It means honoring your past without getting stuck in it. It means saying that chapter mattered. It shaped me. It's a part of me, but it's only one version of me. You're allowed to carry what you loved into what's next. Journaling is an important thing that I like to do. And I think it's just a very powerful activity to um, bring about some creativity, get you to really think introspectively and answer a lot of questions for yourself as well. So at this point, I want to insert a little journal prompt that I have for you. I really want you to take a few minutes on this, up to 10 minutes. Yes, I really want you to go deep on this one. Answer this question: what do I know about myself now because I taught? What do I know now about myself because I taught? So I really want you to go deep on that one. Take about 10 minutes to journal and answer that question for yourself. Right? You just may be surprised by the wisdom and power you gained. Rebuilding your identity with intention. Ooh, you've acknowledged the loss. You've begun to reframe it. Now it's time for the most empowering part, which is rebuilding your identity on purpose with clarity and in alignment with the person you're becoming. This is where you move from grieving who you were to intentionally choosing who you want to be next. And no, you don't have to have it all figured out, but even the smallest step in the right direction can help you feel grounded again. Step number one, you're going to define your core values, not your job title. Instead of clinging to a title like teacher or entrepreneur, start with your values. Ask yourself, what matters most to me now? What do I want more of in my life? Is it freedom? Is it creativity, impact, stability, connection? And what kind of person do I want to be in this new season? When you give yourself your new identity that's rooted in values, not just roles, it can evolve with you. Step two, create a personal identity statement. Try filling in the blanks. I'm someone who values blank. I help others by blank. And I feel most alive when blank. Here's a quick example for you. I'm someone who values growth, integrity, and creativity. I help others by teaching them how to confidently pursue their dreams. I feel most alive when I'm building something meaningful. You use that as your compass, especially on the days when you feel uncertain. Step three, you are going to reintroduce yourself to the world. As you shift your identity, give yourself permission to tell a new story online, in conversation, in how you speak about yourself. Try something like this. I spent years in the classroom, and now I help other educators build their next chapter. Or I'm a former teacher turned business owner, and I use my background in education to serve in a new and creative way. Don't wait until everything is polished or perfect. The world needs your story as it is unfolding. In other words, it needs you now. Next, you're going to rebuild. Next, you're going to take one brave action aligned with the new you. Identity isn't just something we think about, it's something we live into and we lean into. Ask yourself, what's one action I can take this week that aligns with who I want to be? Maybe it's applying for something or going live. Maybe it's launching a simple offer. Or maybe it's just introducing yourself with your new title for the first time. Small aligned action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. And rebuilding your identity isn't just about erasing the past, it's about weaving into something new and powerful. You are allowed to evolve, you're allowed to reinvent, you're allowed to step into this new chapter with intention. And guess what? You're already doing it. Keep going. In this final part, we're going to talk about how to navigate doubt when it creeps back in because it will. The difference is you'll be ready for it. Here's the truth. Even after you start rebuilding your identity, even after you've taken bold steps forward, doubt will still show up. And that doesn't mean you're failing, that just means you're human. Let's talk about what doubt looks like, why it happens, and how you can face it without letting it derail your growth. What doubt sounds like. Doubt rarely announces itself directly. It tends to sneak in through the back door with thoughts like, who am I to be doing this? I don't have enough experience. Maybe I should just go back to something safer. I'll never be as good at this as I was at teaching. Or what if everyone thinks I made a mistake? Sound familiar? That's not your truth. That's your fear talking. So when doubt creeps in, remember it's going to show up at a moment when you start building momentum. Here's why. Your brain actually craves familiarity, and change triggers discomfort. You've spent years in a structured, validated role. Now you're in a space where you set the rules. You're stretching into new versions of yourself, and that growth can feel unstable at first. The doubt is a sign that you're doing something courageous. It's not a stop sign, it's a signal that you're outside of your comfort zone. And That is where all of the transformation begins. And here's what we're going to do when doubt shows up. There are four practical steps that I'd like to give you so you can navigate those moments. Number one, we're going to name it. We're going to name the doubt, don't shame it. Instead of pretending like doubt isn't there, get curious. What am I afraid of right now? What story is my brain trying to tell me? When you name fear, it loses its grip and its power. Number two, you're going to stack the evidence. What does this mean? You're going to create your proof list. Get out a regular sheet of paper, or you can do it on Word as well. Write down those wins that you've had, any successful moments you've had, write it all down. Include kind messages or testimonials someone is giving you. Also, include those brave things that you've done recently. You're going to read this whenever imposter syndrome creeps in. Let your past remind you of your power. Number three, you're going to talk to the future you. You're going to visualize the versions of yourself you're already doing the things. You're going to visualize the version of yourself who's already doing the thing, running the business, leading the workshop, or living with confidence. What would they say to you right now? Often they'd say, keep going. This part is normal. You're closer than you think. And number four, you're going to anchor back to your why. When doubt clouds your mind, when doubt clouds your mind, your why brings clarity. Remind yourself, why did I leave the classroom? What am I creating that's bigger than this fear? Remember, purpose is stronger than panic. Some final words for you about that. Doubt doesn't mean stop. You don't have to wait for the fear to go away before you move forward. You just have to learn how to bring it with you. Just don't let it drive. Courage isn't the absence of doubt, it's the decision to keep showing up anyway. You've done hard things before. You've redefined who you are. You've taken brave steps. Doubt will visit, but it doesn't get to stay. Keep becoming, keep building, keep showing up. You've got this. Don't forget to click the link in my bio to stay connected. Until next time, have an awesome day.